The rise of Ilia Topuria, from featherweight executioner to lightweight conqueror. It started with silence, not the silence of doubt, but the quiet before a storm. In early 2024, Ilia Topuria stood across the octagon from Alexander Volkanovski, the longest reigning featherweight champion of this generation. The odds were stacked. Volkanovski was the immovable object. Topuria, just another next guy in line, according to most. But what happened next changed everything. Chapter 1. The King Falls, UFC 298, Feb 17, 2024, Anaheim, California. Topuria didn't flinch. Volkanovski pressured, shifted angles, tried to download his opponent's patterns, but Topuria didn't give him data. He gave him danger. Then in round 2, it happened. As Volkanovski lunged in, Topuria exploded with a right hand from hell. The champ dropped. The silence of disbelief filled the arena. KO. New champion. Topuria didn't need to roar. His fists had already spoken. Chapter 2, the Holloway Breaker, UFC 308. They said it might have been a fluke. Volkanovski was aging. Do it against Max, they said. Max Holloway, the man who went to war with Dustin Poirier, stood toe-to-toe with Calvin Kattar, took bombs from Volkanovski, and never fell until Topuria. For 2 rounds, Ilia studied him like a hunter tracks prey. Then in round 3, a devastating left hook found Holloway's jaw. Max Holloway, knocked out. That wasn't just a title defense. It was a message. I'm not just the best, I end legends. Chapter 3, Enter the Lion's Den. UFC 317 time, Topuria could have ruled featherweight. But he left the throne behind, not for money, not for fame, but for war. At UFC 317, he steps into the Lion's Den, and waiting for him is Charles Oliveira, the most lethal submission artist in UFC history. 21 UFC finishes, 16 submissions, and an aura of beautiful chaos that drowns even elite strikers. Where others see danger, Oliveira thrives. He pulls guard, welcomes pain, and hunts limbs like a wild animal. Topuria brings precision, poise, and power, but Oliveira brings traps. One mistake, and your neck, your arm, or your legacy may be gone. The anatomy of Topuria, strengths versus weaknesses. Before he steps into the octagon against Oliveira, let's break down the fighter behind the storm. Topuria's strengths. Explosive power. Ilia doesn't touch, he detonates. One punch changes everything. Ask Volkanovski, ask Holloway. He reads timing like a sniper reads wind. You overextend, he punishes. Cage composure. In chaos, he breathes. He doesn't brawl emotionally, he dissects opponents surgically. Footwork and distance. Topuria steps just out of range, forcing opponents to miss before snapping counters through tight windows. Mindset of a finisher. He doesn't aim to win rounds, he aims to end stories. Topuria's weaknesses. Ground game questions. While solid defensively, he hasn't been tested by a submission specialist of Oliveira's caliber. Weight. At lightweight, his power advantage may narrow. Can he carry the same ferocity against bigger frames? Forward pressure fighters. He thrives when he dictates pace. If pressured heavily or dragged into deep waters, we may see unknown vulnerabilities. Submission awareness. Against a human trap like Oliveira, one wrong scramble, one exposed limb, and it's over. The collision course. This isn't just a fight between 2 elite athletes. It's a battle of order versus chaos, striker versus submission master, the new storm versus the old fire. Topuria has KO'd legends, but can he survive Oliveira's ground game? Can he rise in a division where the ghosts of Khabib and the grit of Islam still linger? And if he wins, he becomes something rare, a 2-division king, a finisher across divisions, an era-defining force. The final chapter, to be written June 28, 2025. If Topuria conquers Charles Oliveira at UFC 317, he will have destroyed Volkanovski, finished Holloway, and outlasted Do Bronx himself. And in doing so, he will not just inherit greatness, he will redefine it. Topuria's rise isn't just a run, it's a reign waiting to happen.